Welcome to another DCS tutorial, and today I'm going to show a few tips on how to get some great cinematic shots for your DCS videos. Most people will be familiar with the standard f2 and f4 views, which are great, but on their own aren't enough for any budding Spielbergs. So I'm going to show 5 of my favourite tips. This shot is really simple to do. As you can see, the aircraft floats around and we can smoothly do a brake turn to a nice fade. Perfect for intros and outros. And here is the secret. I've simply set up an AI aircraft to fly straight and level, and I'm manually flying behind it. I then use the F4 view from the lead aircraft. You can either fly in cockpit and replay the track file. However, it's usually easier to actually record live from the F4 view, as you can see the shot in real time and manoeuvre appropriately. This next shot is a little bit like the last one. However, the target is dead centre in the shot. This means that it's nice and smooth, but it does have limitations. As before, I set up an AI aircraft and I've set that to do a loop in this instance. And I follow the aircraft as best as I can. And I think it's pretty clear I'm not going to make it into the red arrows. I then record the track file and replay in the F5 view. Now, because the zoom doesn't work well, you either need to maintain formation or stay fully zoomed in. You also need to be careful not to catch sight of the lead aircraft, its contrails or even its shadows, as they can ruin the shot. Now let's have a look at some of the tougher shots like this, which are great for action scenes. The first thing I did was to fly the mission in first person and then record the track file. Then I replayed the track file, and once lined up on target I hit pause. Next I hit F2 to position myself ahead of the aircraft, and as you can see I'm doing 450 knots. Next I press Ctrl and F11 to go to the free camera and set the time deceleration as low as I can. Now I can unpause and use the mouse scroll wheel to move the camera backwards until it's also doing about 450 knots. I can now move the mouse around and adjust the speed of the camera to set up the shot that I want. Now, because I'm firing weapons, getting into the perfect position at the perfect time can mean a little bit of trial and error. I'm going to track the shot using Track IR. And once lined up, it's usually best to reduce the time deceleration a little bit, as keeping your head steady for a long period can be difficult. This shot was done exactly like the last one, but with one small difference. Because the aircraft I'm tracking is moving so fast, I left the time deceleration to quite a high level. Probably a bit too high actually. For the final cut, all we need to do is watch the replay once again, and it will replay exactly as we've just seen it in slow motion with the head tracking, not as it was done originally. We can then reset the time deceleration to normal, hit record, and get the footage we wanted at full speed. In this shot I have the camera set very close to the ground in f2 view, which isn't possible by default. As I stop, I change to free view, and as I take off, use the scroll wheel to move the free camera forward, being careful not to move the mouse. By default, the f2 camera only allows you to go down this low, which isn't ideal. To go lower, you can use the free camera, but that doesn't move with the aircraft, so it isn't ideal either. To change this, you need to edit the server.lua file, changing the camera terrain restriction from true to false. Remember though that this will get changed back whenever you do an update or a repair to DCS. So that's all for today. I hope you've all learned something, and I'll look forward to seeing some of your videos soon.